Noticed that there was like a little red bag with a bunch of dust on it, just kind of laying beside the locker room, between the locker and the wall.
A missing backpack, an old hidden message, and a decade-old secret. What if everything you thought you knew was a lie? Join us as we unravel a mystery that's been buried for years. Don't miss out. This secret is about to change everything. The disappearance. It all started on a quiet afternoon when a simple backpack vanished without a trace. No one thought much of it at first, just another lost item in a busy school year. But little did anyone know, this missing backpack would lead to the unearthing of a decade-old secret. The backpack, though old and worn, contained something no one could have expected. A clue that had been hiding in plain sight for years. What seemed like a random disappearance was about to change everything. Little did anyone know, this was just the beginning of a mystery that would take years to uncover. A hidden message. The letter, slightly faded and with a crumpled edge, seemed to hold secrets that Sarah never expected to uncover. As she carefully opened it, the words inside sent a chill down her spine. It was written in a hurried, almost desperate handwriting. The letter read, "If you're reading this, then I've already made the choice. You need to know the truth. This isn't just about a missing backpack. It's about something far more dangerous." Sarah's heart raced as she continued reading, her fingers trembling. The letter was from someone she hadn't thought about in years, her childhood friend, Luke, who had mysteriously disappeared a decade ago. Luke had vanished without a trace after a trip to the local park, and everyone had assumed he'd just run away. But now, this letter suggested something entirely different. The note went on to mention a hidden file, locked away in a safe deposit box under a different name, and a warning: don't trust anyone. They'll come after you if they know you're looking for the truth. Who could Luke have been talking about? Why was the backpack left behind with this cryptic message? The answers were buried deep within a web of secrets, and Sarah knew she had just stepped into something far bigger than she ever imagined. The mystery of Luke's disappearance was only just beginning to unfold. The unexpected find. After finding the letter, Sarah knew she couldn't ignore it. She spent the next few days obsessively going over the details. The mention of a safe deposit box, a hidden file. These clues tugged at her mind, urging her to dig deeper. But what shocked her the most was something she hadn't noticed before. Inside the missing backpack, there was a small, hidden compartment. Sarah had always thought of it as just a worn-out backpack, but the compartment was unlike anything she had ever seen. It wasn't big, just enough to slip in a few small items. As she carefully opened it, she found something unexpected. A small, metal key with an intricate design. The key was old, tarnished with age, but there was no mistaking it. It looked like it belonged to a lock of some sort. Sarah's mind raced. Was this the key to the safe deposit box mentioned in Luke's letter? The idea seemed absurd. How could a simple key that had been hidden in her backpack for years be the key to unlocking a decade-old mystery? She knew one thing for sure. She had to find the lock it belonged to. This key was no ordinary piece of metal. It was the key to a long-forgotten truth. But who could she trust to help her? The warning in Luke's letter echoed in her mind. Don't trust anyone. The journey to uncover the truth was becoming more dangerous by the minute. Unraveling the mystery. With the key in her hand and the letter weighing heavily on her mind, Sarah knew she couldn't turn back now. She spent hours researching, trying to make sense of the cryptic message Luke had left behind. The safe deposit box. The hidden file. Who could have been involved in all of this? Her first stop was the bank. She knew it had to be the place where Luke's secret was stored. The key in her hand had to open something important. After a tense conversation with a bank manager, who seemed to look at her with suspicion, Sarah was granted access to a private storage room. Her heart pounded as she approached the vault. The key fit perfectly into the lock, and with a turn, the heavy door creaked open. Inside, there was only one thing: a metal box, old and covered in dust. Sarah's hands shook as she lifted it, unsure of what she would find inside. As she carefully opened the box, her eyes widened. Inside was a thick file, papers, photographs, and a USB drive. It was all there, just like Luke had described. But what she didn't expect was the photograph on top. It was a picture of Luke, but he wasn't alone. Standing beside him was someone Sarah didn't recognize, a man with cold eyes and an unsettling smile. As Sarah flipped through the pages, the pieces of the puzzle started to come together. Luke hadn't run away. He had been involved in something dangerous, something that went far beyond her understanding. The mystery was unraveling, but with every answer, more questions emerged. And one thing was clear: the truth was far darker than she ever imagined. Shocking revelations. As Sarah sifted through the files, her eyes grew wide with disbelief. The documents weren't just personal letters or old memories. They were records of secret meetings, coded messages, and hidden transactions that painted a picture of something much bigger than she had ever imagined. Luke had been part of an underground network, and the more she read, the more she realized how dangerous it had been. There were photographs of meetings in shadowy corners of cafes, maps marked with strange symbols, and a list of names that meant nothing to her. But what caught her attention was the final report. It was a detailed account of a covert operation that had gone horribly wrong. Luke had been investigating a powerful group involved in corruption, bribery, and even worse. His disappearance wasn't a random event. It was the result of his involvement in exposing the group. The last line of the report sent a chill through Sarah's body. "If anything happens to me, the file will be hidden in the backpack. Keep searching. They're not done yet." Her mind raced. The truth was worse than she had ever imagined. Luke had been close to uncovering something massive, something that could bring down powerful figures. And now, Sarah was in possession of the very evidence that could expose them all. But who were they? And what would happen if these people realized Sarah had found the files? A wave of fear washed over her, but Sarah couldn't stop now. She had come too far. The secrets of the past were too important to ignore. But as the weight of the revelations settled in, she couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't alone. There were eyes on her, watching her every move. The truth was finally within reach, but the danger was closing in fast. The secret's impact. The revelation hit Sarah harder than she could have ever imagined. What started as the search for a missing backpack had spiraled into something much darker. The files, now in her possession, weren't just remnants of a long-forgotten secret. They were the key to exposing a massive web of corruption. But with this discovery came a terrifying realization. Sarah was now a target. The weeks that followed were a blur of constant anxiety. She couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching her, always lurking just out of sight. Late-night phone calls, strange messages on her social media, and mysterious cars parked near her home. All signs that someone knew she had the files. But despite the fear, Sarah couldn't let go. She knew too much. The files contained enough evidence to take down the powerful network that had been hiding in the shadows for years. They were responsible for so much pain, so many ruined lives. Luke had given everything to expose them, and now Sarah had to finish what he had started. She took the files to a trusted investigative journalist, someone who had worked on cases of corruption before. Together, they began to piece together the story Luke had tried to tell, a story that would shake the foundations of the powerful network that had thrived on secrecy and lies. As the world learned the truth, the impact was immediate. Public outcry, legal action, and arrests followed swiftly. People who had been in the shadows for so long were finally brought to light. Sarah had taken the first steps toward bringing justice to those who had evaded it for too long. But the impact didn't stop there. Luke's legacy lived on, and with it, a reminder of how one missing backpack, one hidden key, could uncover a truth that changed everything. The past was no longer a mystery, and the future was no longer under the shadow of those who sought to control it. Sarah had not only uncovered a decade-old secret, she had changed the course of history. What happened next will leave you speechless. The truth is finally out, but will it be enough to reveal the whole story? Stay tuned for our next video. He confessed on tape, but the jury set him free. You won't believe what happens next.